Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Shockingly, we are going to take a look at Kaiju number 8. We are going to take a look at a story element that Matsumoto included in 3 major beats of the story, including what was essentially the first beat of the story once it got going. And this is one of my favorite story elements. This is one that I don't see nearly often enough. You have a character who is objectively dangerous, objectively terrifying. And when this character is a hero, when you have a hero and there is something terrifying about them, be they a werewolf or an alien or a giant killer robot, you have different ways people deal with it. For instance, let's take the latest Lost in Space. You had Robot, this objectively terrifying warrior, and people had different ways of dealing with him. They were either afraid of him and just rejected him, the general view of the colonists, or you had Will Robinson and Maureen's Robinsons, because he was theirs, because he was the loved character, they just completely ignored exactly how dangerous he was. They just completely basically wrote that out of their equation. Then you had how John Robinson dealt with him. He looked at him as a warrior, as a fellow soldier, and decided, yes, even though he is dangerous, even though he is terrifying, he was going to continue to interact with him as a person. And that fed into, those 3 different dynamics fed into and fueled and drove many of the interactions. And so here in Kaiju number 8, you have Kafka Haibano, a character who has much that same dynamic. He is our beloved main protagonist, but he is also objectively a terrifying presence. He has a power that could take over his body and become physically dangerous at any time. And even if it is completely under his control, he now has a power that goes beyond the human. And instead of taking the classic childish trope of just overlooking that he's on our side, therefore we're not afraid of him, or going the whole everybody rejects him because of their fear path, Matsumoto has made a deliberate point of taking that third path. Yes, we acknowledge that this is terrifying, and we are still looking at that which terrifies us and dealing with it and facing it. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty details and go over the 3 beats, I want to mention that for the month of October 2022, I will be doing a Indiegogo campaign for my 3rd book in the series, Humans Are Weird. Humans Are Weird, title to be announced in October. And you can go to the link after October 1st, you'll be able to go to the link below the video and get yourself a copy of my book, Humans Are Weird. I have the data. We've got some really interesting stretch goals this time, so go check it out. All right, Kafka Haibano. He's got a literal monster inside of him, a monster that can burst out at any time. And on no less than 3 separate occasions, Matsumoto has his nakama, or people who love or respect him, look up to him, show both fear and acceptance. These people are viscerally on a gut level afraid of what is going on, but they still accept Kafka despite the fact that they are afraid. Now, this is one of the first primary beats of the story. At the very beginning, when the first person Kafka rescues, that little girl and her mother, right out of the hospital, he's got the defense force bearing down on him, ready to blast his brains out because they just don't know that that's Kafka in there. All they're going to see is a kaiju, something Reno states. And Kafka rescues this little girl, and she is terrified of him. He's just rescued her. She can see that he's rescued her, but she still just cringes back. And you can tell that Kafka's hurt, but instead of being offended, he just backs off, makes himself as small and non-threatening as possible, and promises to leave. And the little girl, as he's leaving, conquers her fear, looks straight at him, and thanks him. And then later on, many, many chapters later, we get to see that having conquered her fear that once, she now is placing her faith in Mr. Kaiju Man. A reoccurring thing in and of itself, but we're talking about people accepting others despite their fear. One of the things that makes this concept, this trope, so powerful is it's true. All human beings are capable of hurting you. Anything with intelligence capable of hurting you. And friendships and relationships, what makes them so poignant in the end is that you have a being here who could hurt you, who could be selfish, and you are placing your trust in them that they won't. So first we have the instance with the little girl. Then, of course, we have the instance with Mina. That scene at the end of the Revelation arc in the mid-30s of the chapters where Kafka is in the transport truck with Mina, and she says, yes, I was shocked, I was afraid when I saw you in that kaiju form, but I was also thinking this is so Kafka. And this just really, really makes a great center point. It does thematically happen in the chapter right in the middle of these 3 beats, but it's just great. She is the one who probably loves him more than anyone else. She is also the one who the betrayal rather hurt the most, and she's the one who probably has the most trauma of anyone related to kaiju. And she looked at him, and it was shocking to her, but she still recognized his behavior as Kafka. She was looking at him with eyes wide open. Nobody understands how dangerous kaiju are better than a defense force captain. Nobody understands the sacrifices that are made to fight against these monsters. But she still looks at him, she sees the monster, and she sees Kafka. Then you have the sort of rest of the reaction representing the rest of the defense force, the rest of the 3rd Division. When Kafka is finally given his phone back and is given free rein to contact his friends in the 3rd Division, you get the scene with Aiharu. This kind of 3rd beat where Kafka admits openly and honestly that I was afraid you would be afraid of me and you wouldn't want to talk to me. And Aiharu always says, yes, we are afraid of you. That thing inside of you, that is terrifying, but that doesn't mean we're going to turn our backs on you. And I think this is part of what makes this series so wholesome, so enjoyable to watch. Matsumoto does not shy away from the reality that these essentially curses that he's put on the main character do make them terrifying. He recognizes that if anyone met Kafka in real life within this situation, they would be terrified. But there are also the bonds between friends that hold this together. And Matsumoto writes humans so well that it doesn't come off as cheesy or normy or saccharine. These are Kafka's friends, and his friendship is dirty and painful and ultimately beautiful. And if I haven't made this too saccharine myself, I just wanted to appreciate these 3 major beats of the world at large accepting Kafka. Not the whole world, but the one little girl that he rescued who knew him, the defense force itself, and his close personal friends. These 3 major groups of people have looked Kafka straight in the face, seen the monster, seen the man, and accepted the one with the other. And I just think that's beautiful storytelling on Matsumoto's part, and I can't wait to see where this theme goes moving forward. Tell me, what do you think? What do you think of Matsumoto making sure that both the monster and the man are seen and accepted in this story? Leave your comments below the video. I love to hear from you. Hit that like and subscribe button, and remember that October 2022, I've got a new book coming out in the Humans Are Weird series, where the man is the monster. Peace out, my
Humans are weird. We took a vote, and humans are weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.